Mohenjo-daro is located in the semi-arid region of Sindh in Pakistan, situated on a Pleistocene ridge in the floodplain of the Indus River. Although this ridge is now deeply buried by annual flooding, most archaeologists agree that the city was more prominent in the 3rd millennium BCE, standing out above the surrounding plain. The ancient city is geographically situated in an ideal position for both trade and farming on the alluvial floodplains. Given the arable nature of the land, robust agriculture developed in association with an extensive network of canals. This archaeological site was inscribed as a World Heritage Site in 1980. Archaeological excavations at Mohenjo-daro document hundreds of dwellings and large buildings constructed along streets and lanes oriented towards cardinal points, which index the architectural sophistication of a well-planned city. The expansive lower town, which you see here, has been the locus of architectural and residential study. Archaeologists working at Mohenjo-daro considered these areas to have been vibrant urban neighborhoods. DKG, the neighborhood we are seeing right now, provides some of the most robust extant and contiguous architecture on the site, linked to alleys and major roadways. There is evidence of houses that have up to 2 stories, including extant shaft wells, distinct residential and potentially non-residential buildings. We have evidence of extensive waste and water management, bathing platforms. We see rebuilding of walls and artifact scatters through time. Liev was invited to work at Mohenjo-daro in 2018, and since then has been engaged in non-extractive, non-destructive archaeological methods, including, but not limited to, LiDAR, 360 videos, and photogrammetry using drones to assist in visualizing the datasets. The exhibition Visualizing Care invites us to access scholarship and knowledge sharing differently vis-a-vis traditional archaeological methods, while utilizing a decolonial, non-extractive, and generative approach within a framework that emphasizes care at the site of Mohenjo-daro. Our interlocution with the archaeological site, legacy data, site labor, and archival history allows us to explore the notion of care across time and data sets. The materiality of care at Mohenjo-daro can be identified through the repair and restoration in antiquity of household units through time, through the upkeep and maintenance of sanitation infrastructure, and through urban design decisions that are made with multiple stakeholders in mind, such as the location of wells and trash bins. Each of these aspects can be documented in detail utilizing remote sensing. The study presented in our exhibition relies upon the archaeological excavations conducted under the guidance of Ernest Mackay. Large-scale excavations started in the DK area in December 1927 and continued for 4 seasons until 1931. During that time, Mackay was assisted by Mr. N.G. Majumdar, who was the Assistant Superintendent of Archaeology for Exploration, Mr. H.L. Srivastava, who was a scholar in that department, and the excavation assistant was Mr. Devi Dayal Mathur. Mr. C.R. Roy, who was an anthropologist from Calcutta University, joined the group in the 2nd season, and Mr. K.N. Puri served as excavation assistant for seasons 2 through 4. The plans that our visualizations rely upon were drawn by Mr. Mukherjee, Mr. Nawabuddin, and Mr. Mohiuddin. Over a century of research has been conducted at this World Heritage Site, and yet there still seems to be so much more needed to understand the sociality in the city, particularly on the scale of the neighborhood and household. Through our ethnographic conversations and archival investigations, care has emerged as a generative conceptual approach that transforms the research about Mohenjo-daro. Heralding tenets of modernity, the Archaeological Survey of India at the time of discovery of the site was the quintessential colonial bureaucratic machine. It is within this bureaucracy that we aim to uncover, center, amplify, and celebrate those who otherwise would be overlooked, ignored, or deemed unimportant within the archive. One such emergent story is that of Chowkidar Najamuddin, One of the earliest mentions of Najib-Din we encounter is in 1932 by Ernest Mackay, who hired him on a temporary basis because Mackay held his work and language skills in high regard. According to the archive, Najib-Din spoke Urdu, Sindhi, and English. Najib-Din's story illustrates a capacity for self-advocacy, his unique talents, and his commitment to the archaeological site. The archive provides an insight into the ways by which Najib-Din negotiated his space within the colonial bureaucracy, continuously advocating for better working conditions. An ethic of care allows us to approach the archive with a new lens. This approach tells the story broad and uncensored enough to bring equity and justice into the archive, into archaeological sensibilities, and thus into the world. Significantly, it rights some colonial and caste-based wrongs by witnessing, acknowledging, and celebrating the care work that marginalized people have done as they cared for an ancient city. Mohenjo-daro by Kaisar Abbas. अक्सर ऐसे होता है, दरिया रुख बदलते हैं, नक्श नए बन जाते हैं, एक कहानी बनती है, लफ्ज़ उभरने लगते हैं, लोग अमर हो जाते हैं. अक्सर यूं भी होता है, दरिया रुख बदलते हैं, नक्श नज़र तो आते हैं, लफ्ज़ माने खो देते हैं, अफसाने रह जाते हैं, लोग कहानी खो देते हैं.
बेनरस जिनक तो ऊंधाई वैली मुझो राणल पोतो पारसाई वैली बेनरस जिनक तो ऊंधाई वैली मुझो राणल पोतो पारसाई वैली खाबल के तो खाबल खा